Hello, everybody. My name is Justin. And just in case you missed our last video or slash our last slash first video, and we're back at it again, I have reformatted some of the things that we're doing, some of the trainings that we are doing, and we're following a couple basic concepts. And these concepts are to help realtors, real estate associations, brokers, managers on how to, well, essentially overall help their business, right? And with that in mind and utilizing my skill sets, we're only going to talk in these video series on a couple various topics. Technology, for one, I am a big old nerd. So we will talk about CRMs, MLSs, and how you can use them for your benefit. We'll talk social media. We'll talk latest tech, such as right now it's artificial intelligence. But we'll talk about those things. I'm also a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and coach. So we're going to talk about a lot of different leadership conversations, whether it's leading a team or really, quite honestly, leading yourself or your clients or whatever it may be. We're going to have those conversations. And then we will talk about communication, right? One of the things that we will for sure be doing and having in these conversations is how to communicate more effectively. One of my favorite John Maxwell books is Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And I feel like if we can help you get through that communication, we're going to move further faster. Now, the last thing, which is what we're going to talk about today, is the DISC assessment. I am a certified DISC trainer and consultant. I can deliver those assessments, and we'll talk more about that at the end. But DISC is great. DISC is a behavioral assessment, and that behavioral assessment is, well, in all candid, I just love the tool because it not only has helped me grow my business the last several years, I think it can help everybody, right? Because it's going to help us understand who we are. It's going to help us understand how to make our business that much better, right? So what is DISC? What is DISC? DISC is a behavioral profile, and that behavioral profile is based on 4 categorizations of profiles of behaviors. And that's D for dominance, I for influence, S for steadiness, and C for compliance. This has been around for almost 100 years now. It's been designed by a person called William Marston in 1928. He came up with this, and it's gone through years of improvements and upgrades, and I just think it does a really good job. Not only does it do a good job of helping you understand who you are, but I think it simplifies the conversation of who's around you and how you can work with them and how you can team with them and how you can handle your and their strengths and weaknesses together. And this is a short tutorial, or really just a conversation. We will come through later classes and talk more about that and come later into that. But hopefully today we're going to show you just enough information to kind of make you dangerous, right? Hopefully today we're going to show you how we can help you know and understand yourself better and the people around you. So now I'm going to do this a little differently than I think you might have seen some other people do it. And I do this very specifically to help you build the foundation first before we get into the actual behavioral profiles to come out there and do this. So the first thing I want you to do is I want to ask yourself some questions about yourself. I want you to come out here and ask, who are you, right? Are you an outgoing person or are you a more reserved person? So what do I mean by that? Are you always the first to do something? Are you very proactive in nature? You are taking the quote unquote lead in events. You're doing things like that. You're going to go talk to people. Or are you more reserved, right? Are you the person that is going to be a little more laid back? You're going to be a little more subdued. You're going to wait for things to kind of come to you, right? Neither one's bad or good. They're just who things are. If you are more outgoing, you're going to be more of an IND, an influencer or a dominant. If you are more reserved, you're going to lean towards a C and S, right? Well, the next set of questions is going to be, Are you more task-oriented or are you more people-oriented, right? When you get done, when you're looking to go do something, are you doing it to cross off an item on your list or because you have someone there ready to help you out, or you're doing this with your people, right? You go to the gym. Are you going to the gym because you have a goal and you're trying to get it done? Or are you going to the gym because you know the only way you're going to that gym is because you have made a deal with the people around you and you've got to show up, right? How does that work for you? Which group are you? Again, if you are more people-oriented, you're going to be more of an influence or a steady, an I or an S. If you're more task-oriented, you're going to be more of a D or a C. Now, again, I know you don't know who that is, but I'm just trying to get you to understand that. So, for instance, if you are a more people-oriented and outgoing, you're going to be an I. If you are more task-oriented and reserved, you're going to be a C, right? So you can kind of see some of that stuff coming into play and working in there to make that happen. So just put those little thoughts in your brain. Just try to make that work for you just a little bit. Okay, so now that we have that for you, let's talk about those profiles, right? Let's talk about them. Let's understand how this works and what you're doing in your area. So we're going to start with the Ds. Ds are your dominants. They're your drivers, right? They very much seek control. They are very decisive, direct. They are very much results oriented. They can multitask, although I'm not a big proponent of that term in all candor. In future trainings, we'll talk about that. They will easily take control, right? They are driven by authority, whether it's their authority or someone else's. They will challenge it a lot of times. They can be seen rather aggressive, if that's considered a negative. That's for you to decide. But they can be seen rather aggressive in nature. They can be very blunt about conversations. They will embrace change. They're just so results oriented that they will tell you and they will shift on what they got to do on a dime to get the results they are looking for. They will not do it. They will not always look to see the task done. They'll just leap forward. They do treasure loyalty, and they're not afraid of confrontation. Now, with that being said, their biggest fear is being taken advantage of. They do so much. They help people out. They do love loyalty that anytime they have some confrontation that seems adversarial, you will hear that being taken advantage of comes out quite a bit. Now, as far as how to communicate with the D, be very direct. Be brief. Go with the what questions, not the how questions, right? What's the problem? Not how do we solve it? We'll figure that one out. They are very much focused on results. They will have no problem discussing problems, but they want to know how it affects their outcomes, right? They're going to want to know that information. And do not ramble, right? Be very decisive, be very direct, be very, very direct in your conversations. All right. Your eyes, your influencers. Now, I don't know if you saw this earlier, but I will tell you Ds represent only 3% of the population. That's what those numbers up there represent. Your eyes represent 11% of the population. They're your persuasive people. They're very spontaneous. They are friendly. They seek the spotlight. Now, I don't know if they really seek the spotlight in all candor. I think really the spotlight just kind of comes to them because they are just so outgoing and so colorful and so attention gathering, I guess would be the conversation to have. They're very much that way. Now, they are relationship oriented. They very much are emotional and very, very animated. They are great storytellers. They treasure the experiences, but the experience is always going to be around the people around them, right? They're always going to love a trip to Italy or Germany or wherever, but they're going to tell you about the things they did with the people, right? They're also very good encouragers. Now, they are not always the most organized. They are not always the most detailed or the focus, right? They'll chase squirrels all over the place. So always keep that in mind. And their biggest fear is going to be rejection. So with all that being said, how do I communicate with an I? Well, I'm not going to do all the talking, right? I'm going to let them talk. I'm going to search for shorter conversations. If I have a 40-minute conversation, I'm going to look for 10-minute intervals and not a big, long 40-minute conversation. I am going to allow time to just socialize. If this is work-oriented, I want to make sure they get to come in and share their day a little bit. And I'm always going to follow up in writing, right? Eyes are very good at having conversations, not always good in the follow-through or really the remembering of what we talked about 20 minutes ago. So please always remember that you're going to want to make sure you have some written follow-up going on. Now, your S's are great. Remember, they're on the people side. They're very much team-oriented. They will follow through. They'll get the stuff done. They treasure loyalty, and they're striving for acceptance. They are very easy and agreeable. They sometimes might be a little too easygoing. They are they're looking to be evenly paced. They are the slow and steady of the worlds, right? They are going to slowly move through and do what they need to do. Great listeners, very compassionate, and they want peaceful relationships, right? They're not much for confrontation. Actually, that's one of their fears. They do not like that. So as an example, if you have a D that is, I won't call them argumentative, but very direct in a conversation, it can be perceived as an S as confrontation. Now, remember, our S's, actually, I don't even remember, I didn't tell you this, but our S's are 69%, which means they are the largest portion of the population, which also means for us in our business, they are also the biggest client base we have. And we are helping them go through the biggest transaction they have. It's going to be up to us as the professionals to go through and help them plan that business out, right? Give them the steps ahead of time. That way they're ready for the next step. Because remember, we are very fast-paced in those transactions. So you're going to want to make sure that they have time to adjust to it, right? Let them be prepared for what's coming down the road. Now, as far as communicating with S's, we want to make sure we create that very friendly tone, right? We want to be extremely approachable in our conversation. We want to show interest in them as a person. They love that. We do not need to be overly aggressive. Try to minimize the confrontation. Again, it's always going to be hard because sometimes we're going to have those confrontations, especially when we're negotiating our business. Give them goals and tell them what their role is. Help them identify that. And then always give them time to adjust. Last, but most definitely not least, is our compliance. Our compliant people, they are compliant. They are very analytical. They're very detailed oriented, and they are striving for accuracy. They are so much, they treasure perfection. They are very compliant. They're very conscientious. They are the rule followers, the steps, right? They have checklist after checklist after checklist, and they're going to make sure that's all done. They are so detail-oriented and accurate. It is great. Sometimes a little too much. They may not always get off and take that first step because they don't know what that is or they don't trust their steps are in place because they do prefer that so much. So much so that their biggest fear is criticism. Since they spend so much time making sure everything's right, that criticism really hits them to the core. So always be careful about that. Now, with that being said, how do we communicate with the C? Well, we're going to have to be prepared to provide all the details. Be very, very patient and answer all the questions. Can be tough. We got to make sure that the answers are fact-based and not anecdotal in nature. We also want to be very precise and make sure our explanations are very, very detailed. That's your C. Now, that's kind of the profile as a whole. Hopefully that gives you an idea who you are, where your strengths and weaknesses sit a little bit, how you want to be communicated with, and more importantly, how you need to communicate with other people in this world. Now, at the very end here, what I do want to do is go through a little bit of the do's and don'ts, and then we're going to kind of let you go in here and help you move forward. So with that being said, I'm going to start with the don'ts. Don't put everybody in a box. These are to help us understand who people are and how we can better work with them. We all don't fit a nice, clean box. But these are patterns, right? These are systems and situations that are going to help us work better with the people around us. But you're going to have to be adaptable, because we can't give everybody a test or an assessment before we meet with them. And you're going to try to understand this, and you're going to have to adjust on the fly, right? Don't use this as your scapegoat. Don't sit there and go, well, I'm a high I, so that means I'll forget it by tomorrow. It's just who I am, right? Find systems in place that will help you not be that way. I'm a D. I'm just going to run over everybody. It's just how it works. Well, that's fine, and it may be true. But if you know that, then you got to find ways to not do that when you're in those conversations that people aren't ready for it in, right? Do practices. Look around you. See if you can analyze people. In the comment box, see if you know who I am. I don't remember if I told you or not. I may have. But I have 2 profiles in here, or 2 of the 4 letters. In the comment box, put it in there. Tell me who you think I am. I'll be curious. Knowing what I said, kind of how I'm working around and doing various things, it might be a little obvious, but we'll see. Right? Practice that. See who can guess it is. Do go take an assessment, whether it's free or online. I am going to personally, I'm biased because I do give the assessments out at a cost, but do go take that assessment. Go get the DISC assessment. The free ones are great. You can answer, questions in less than 15 minutes. Even the paid ones, less than 15 minutes in all candor. But go get that results. Now, if you do take the one that I give, which I do encourage you doing, you can always reach out to me. My contact information is in the description. But I do recommend taking that, because if you take the one that you paid for, you're going to get a lot more information. Not only are you going to get a real strong understanding of who you are, you're going to understand who you are today in a normal situation, tomorrow in a stressful situation, and how you think people see you, right? You get to understand that profile. And then if you work with someone like me or other professionals that do DISC, you can then see and work on how you can consult with them and work on those skill sets and build better business relationship with the clients around you. So please don't hesitate to do that. And then do subscribe and sign up for my stuff down here on the bottom. Make sure you get this. Again, I'm going to have at least 1 video a week, probably closer to 2 if I have my way with this stuff. It's a new era, a new time, new thing, and we're going to be there. So until next time, have a great week.